Here are 10 cool features to help you improve your maps and your urban planning knowledge, and they're so easy to draw. Firstly, it's one of the greatest engineering feats of modern times, and you so should include one of these in your maps. We start by drawing our coastline and bridge preparation. We draw an artificial island and bring the motorway across onto the island. This idea is similar to the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge or the Öresund Bridge between Sweden and Denmark. On the island, we will split the motorway into two immersed underground tubes and show this through two sets of dotted lines that meet back up above ground on the North mainland. Don't forget to give your island a name and label your bridges and tunnels for authenticity. I chose this setup for my map because the water below is shallow and bridge span height was going to be an issue for shipping clearances. This system is also cheaper, as immersed tube tunnels are generally cheaper than bored tunnels, and don't forget to label your motorway. You can label it in lowercase or uppercase depending on your predetermined road hierarchy rules. So why do planners love this artificial island plus tunnel combo? As I colour the road in red, it is because it keeps the city's skyline visually clean and maintains navigable waterways, as my map will have heavy industry to the west that needs to cross to the east. This is also a little access wharf that allows workers and engineers to service the tunnel and bridge, and also a substation and ventilation facilities are located on the island too, rather than the mainland. Next, I will colour in some water in a nice sky blue. This project would not be council or even a city project. It would most likely fall under a regional integration policy or a statewide freight corridor optimization plan, with the project funded either through toll-backed private finance or through state and federal partnerships. Here are some other examples of this combo that I have drawn in my other cities. The second item is a natural landmark with some human intervention. First, extend your coastline and create some little coves. Then draw in your rock pool and surround it with little circles that will form your wave-cut platforms. These are normally very hazardous due to rogue waves, slippery algae, and sudden drop-offs, so you can draw a warning sign too if you like. Next, we will add some parklands and paths and a beach. Don't forget to name the rock shelf, and I will draw a line out and an insert box and name the rock pool there. The most popular rock pool is in Bondi, Australia, and they occur all over Australia and date back to the early 1900s. I will also add a bather's pavilion where you can shower, get changed, and even have a coffee. I will now draw the beach access road and underpass beneath the expressway. Colour the beaches in yellow and then colour the water in blue, but do not colour in the rocks. Normally rock shells fall under Crown land and are managed by local councils or national parks. The council would manage the safety, fencing, access and the pool, and it is ultimately funded through rates, while the state government may supply coastal management grants to fill in the budget. And here is my warning sign, that it is prohibiting fishing, after two fishermen were swept away, a father and a son, last summer, leading the council to now prohibit all rock fishing in this area. Here are some other examples of this combo that I have drawn in my other cities to help you visualize other locations. The third cool feature is an elevated motorway. We will start with two ramps and continue the motorway to the bridge and tunnel combo. And we will even include a direct southbound access ramp to the beach suburbs with a large roundabout to manage the tourist traffic flow. To demonstrate that the motorway is elevated, I draw a set of lines on either side of all areas that are highly elevated. Remember, elevated doesn't mean a bridge. An elevated motorway could also be built over rail corridors, industrial land, or even housing, whereas a bridge is a structure specifically built to span an obstacle such as water or a valley. It means that beneath it are other streets, houses, and shops, a whole bustling life that is occurring, just like the Shinto Expressway in Tokyo that was built due to limited land post-World War II, or the Westgate Bridge in Melbourne, or the Interstate 10 in LA. Historically, these roads divide neighbourhoods and reduce property values beneath or beside them. My city will have a bustling, dense, low-income neighbourhood below it with tight streets and narrow housing. Finally, I will connect the elevated motorway to the city network by colouring in just the road surface part red and then add some traffic lights. The fourth item is a frontage road. I will start by drawing the main arterial road, whatever distance you like. I will then draw the frontage road with a sliver of verge between the local road and the arterial road. Off the frontage road are other local streets. Then you need to repeat this on the south side too. Normally the main arterial road could be state owned, but the frontage road would be local council operated. Creating this setup would require a co-funding model. The frontage road then needs some traffic lights for entry and roundabouts for local access and better traffic flow. The frontage road allows for better and direct driveway access for housing without the risks of pulling in and out onto a busy arterial road. The frontage roads normally have the same name as the arterial road, except with a north and south component to help motorists. You can even have the parallel streets have the same names on the north as the south side. Next, you create the visual verge with grass that separates the arterial to the frontage road. The pros of this model are it preserves property access, road safety, and business visibility. But the drawbacks are it encourages strip development, expensive duplication of pavement, and complex traffic signal phasing. But I love them, sparingly though. Maybe only a few key ones are drawn in your city. The fifth cool thing is to add a quarry. Choose a location where you imagine sand, gravel, limestone, or another element exists. In my city, basalt and granite are found here, and the material is used for concrete, roads, and rail ballast. It is a vital extractive industry to keep my city running. Draw your quarry in a weird shape that you like. Add a site office and truck entry. Ensure to link it to the arterial road, and it's best to have a waterway nearby. To really emphasize the quarry, redraw over the irregular polygon you created with a thicker weight. And while you do this, think about whether your quarry will be privately operated or state approved, and what extraction regulations will be put in place for it. I will also draw a creek into the quarry, as quarries require large volumes of water for crushing operations, dust sprays, and whole road suppression. But of course, there are some huge environmental factors at play, like pollution. So ensure that the EPA has oversight in your city and the little poor duck habitat downstream does not suffer because of the quarry. Finally, your quarry really comes alive when you add strokes along the whole perimeter. Then give it a cool, realistic sounding business name, color in the waterway, then use a light grey to color in your quarry. And here is also another quarry I created in a national park. The sixth cool feature is a ferry network. Ferries that just go to all stops from A to D are boring with the same berthing pattern. Mix up your city's ferry system with a main terminal which can be drawn like Thor's hammer. Then draw other berths along your harbour. It's great on your map to show the routes and to separate them. From the north terminus here, the ferry heads north then out to the west, while the south terminus heads to the east. And I am going to make an insert that tells map readers that the ferry route bypasses Matcha Cove on weekends and heads straight to the next station off First. Don't forget to write the route name as well. Here is another ferry system in Pinion, where you can see that the ferry only stops at this stop on weekdays because it is a wharf that services the grammar school only. The seventh interesting feature to add to your maps isn't things that exist yet, but proposed items that make your map feel authoritative. You can use dashes, or you can simply cut off the road from the network and write proposed road. My quarry recently secured a new extraction deal with the government and is being allowed to expand north, but in doing so, the government wants Reinhardt to upgrade the road access and build a new and larger site office. And finally, I will write in a tentative opening date. Adding these features adds planning context to your map, and you can also do it with ferry terminals that are approved in strategic plans, or you could be more concrete by adding a ferry stop that is currently under construction. So why do governments ask for these items listed on maps when they're not built yet? They do it to signal growth direction, protect corridors, attract investment, and justify their rezoning, even if they never get built. The worst is proposed rail lines on maps, where many home buyers have purchased properties nearby thinking that once the station is built, they will see land values boost, only to find out the station gets scrapped by the next government. Oh well, such is life. In my city, this proposed park is never going to be built. It will stay a barren junkyard because the EPA found that the land was contaminated and not worth the cleanup. So I will leave it as proposed park on the map. The eighth feature requires some more roads to be drawn. This area near the beach is going to be a bustling area with high pedestrian activity, so I will create a plaza and close off the smaller streets to most vehicles by colouring in the road black. The project is funded by Council Capital Works budgets and is aimed at activating the local retail economy and improving place-based vibrancy. Along the main beach strip, I will create a slow road with traffic calming features drawn like humps on the left and on the right side of the road. Then I will add a traffic light to cross from the plaza to the beach path, and purple thatching indicates that the road is paved and considered a shared zone. And finally, a large speed sign advising motorists do not come this way or expect to only travel at 5 miles per hour. Here are some other slow and shared zones that are in my other cities. These are normal cul-de-sacs that I'm drawing, very inefficient. So my ninth cool feature are courtyard cul-de-sacs. These are common in parts of Asia, and I think they should be adapted more in western suburbs. You can create standard L-shaped ones or even weird-shaped ones. Circular bulb roads consume more land. These rectangular courts fit into tighter subdivisions and reduce road reserve width. And guess what? Developers actually love these. And these roads are really just for residents only too. The cons though are poor connectivity and increased walking distance, but traditional cul-de-sacs are worse at this anyway. Because courtyard cul-de-sacs promote slightly higher density layouts, I will draw them near my elevated motorway. Riding inside them can be difficult, so you can simply label them on the large map A to Z, then have an insert where you redraw it with a larger map, or you could just simply officially write the street name. This is Wollstonecraft Railway Station in Sydney. Due to harbourside ridgelines and property boundaries, the platform had to be curved. It has a 200-metre curved radius, which is tight for a suburban heavy rail line, but some Japanese platforms are sharper at around 160 metres, so it's cool to include these in your city if you have tight spaces, NIMBY pressure, or geographical constraints. Simply draw the train line and curve the platform, but to make it realistic, ensure that large parts of the rail line are also curved to illustrate the reason why the station had to be curved too. Here is another curved platform of mine. I even named the station The Curve. And finally, we will colour in the parklands and the collector road. These are 10 cool features to improve your maps. And there you have it. Which was your favourite cool feature?